that's 30% of the students. Not only, it's not that they overstayed, they didn't even show up for school, okay? That was bad. We didn't even get to looking at the overstays, and already we had 30%, 10 times more than is acceptable as overstays. So these kind of things, when we have a study that comes back with this kind of information, it means we have to review our processes. We have to look at the issuances we had before and the kinds of applicants who are overstaying and tighten up the controls. Again, it's trying to apply U.S. law correctly, and we use a lot of tools to do that.
But has there been a day where you have, for instance, 60 applicants or 50 applicants and you decide to give only one or two people?
No, I would say in 60 you're definitely going to get several qualifiers. There might be a day when you have 8 applicants and no one qualifies, or you might have a day and 8 applicants and all qualify. It just depends on the day.
It all depends on the... Well, I think a lot of people, especially students now, what should qualify somebody to get a student visa? Because some are even sponsored by very, very highly responsible people in the country, and they will still be refused with very good bank statements and very good results from their schools.
The thing I'm seeing with students a lot lately is a lack of understanding of what kind of a student program they've signed up for. In order to qualify for a student visa, yes, you have to show adequate finances, but you also have to show that you're a legitimate student. You have to know, why did I pick this school? What am I going to be studying? What kind of a degree am I getting from this school? Where is this school? What's my living situation going to be? Those sorts of very basic questions. We often get students who they don't know. They don't know what kind of degree they're getting from the school. Then it's going to be difficult to qualify for a visa. So we look forward to the students who have done their homework. They know where they're going, they know what they're doing, and they know why they want to do it. But unfortunately, we get a lot of applicants who haven't done their homework.
Yeah, but is it true that some of the courses that the University of the Gambia offers, if you want to study those courses in America, they will refuse you and say you can study that in Gambia?
No, I look on study at the University of the Gambia as favorable. If someone has studied at the University of Gambia, that shows they're a serious student. They've usually had to have good grades to do that, and we don't look unfavorably on that.
Okay, and now let me ask you this question, because most of the time somebody will be refused a visa, and then they will point a finger at somebody and say it is because of this person, they are the ones who talk to the consular officer. Can somebody influence you and say don't give this person or give that person?
It's a common misconception, actually, that someone else can either get you a visa or get you disqualified for a visa. And the reality is, it's all up to the applicant. You have to qualify for a visa. Your uncle can't qualify for you, and he also can't get you disqualified. So we have a lot of applicants, after they're refused, they say, but my uncle's paying for everything. He's supported me since I'm a child. He's paying for my trip.
But can somebody say, Andy is my friend and I know Fatu's going to get a visa, I'll call Andy and say, don't give Fatu?
No, that's not...
Nobody can influence you when it comes to visas?
No.
Only the applicant can give you good papers, and then that's the only way that you can be convinced and give a visa.
It's going to be in the interview, the application, and the documents that they present at the window. And their background records that we have, yes.
Okay. And how long does this interview take? Because sometimes people would say he didn't even take time to look at my papers. And that sometimes the time they think is really short for you to decide, to be able to know if this person's case is genuine or not.
Some interviews are very short.
Some are less than 5 minutes.
Well, we've got, by the time an applicant gets to me at the window, they've been seen by at least 2 of my colleagues. I'm the third stop. So we're gathering information as we go. By the time they get to the window, I've usually reviewed their paper, I've reviewed their application, and we've reviewed their records in the system. Also, the reality is, having seen literally tens of thousands of applicants, we pretty quickly are able to tell, is this person well qualified or are they not qualified? So when they come to the window, we're seeking to confirm. And sometimes we might think, well, they don't look qualified based on the application papers, but they may be qualified. Or they may look like a solid case, but when they get to the window, we find out that their trip story doesn't make any sense, or they give us contradictory information. So short interviews tend to be people who aren't qualified at all, or people who are very well qualified. And if we're trying to make a determination, Those interviews tend to be longer as we try to figure out whether they're qualified or not.
Okay. What happened to the frequent traveler program? Because before they would say frequent travelers would not even have to be interviewed. You just come in, drop your passport, and then you'll be called to pick it up with a visa. What happened to that? Is that still valid?
We don't use that program anymore, but Gambians are lucky enough to have a 5-year validity on most visas. Once you're qualified, you can go and come for 5 years. That's rare for Africa, and it's a credit to the Gambia that we're able to give you that length of a visa.
Also, but you don't have the frequency. Like if you come back after 5 years and you want to renew, you have to go through the same process again.
Yes, you do.
Bring all the papers again.
Absolutely.
Wow, that could be tough sometimes, after being used to the frequent traveler program. But also, what is the highest number of visas that you issue? Is it visitors, student? Which ones?
The largest number of visas would be visitor visas. It's called a B1, B2. It's temporary travel for business or pleasure. And that's the largest category of visas that Gambians are receiving.
The B1, B2?
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk about, for instance, women who have babies in America. Sometimes somebody would say, okay, I have a 5-year visa, and I'm expecting a baby. I decide to go to America and have a baby there and come back. And a lot of people would think the moment you have a 5-year visa, you're not overstaying.
When you get a visa, and a lot of people don't understand this, even Americans don't understand this, a visa is technically permission to apply at the border, okay? It doesn't get you into the United States. When you arrive at the U.S. border, you'll be interviewed by the Department of Homeland Security. I'm with the Department of State. The Department of Homeland Security sees you there. And they then have the right to grant you the length of stay that they think is appropriate. 3 weeks, 6 months. 6 months is the most common limit. So a 5-year visa doesn't mean you can stay for 5 years. It means within those 5 years, you can travel to the United States and have the Department of Homeland Security give you a length of stay. So you might go and stay for 3 months, come back. Next time you might go for a 2-week trip, something like that.
And is it okay to have a baby over there and then just come back?
Well, the bottom line is it's absolutely legal to have your purpose of travel be to give birth in the United States.
It's legal.
It is legal.
Yeah.
And you could come, if you're qualified for a visa with social and financial ties and you're coming back, you could come in for an interview, say I'm going to the United States to give birth, I'm using such and such a hospital, and I want to do it because of the quality of care at this hospital. It's perfectly legal. What is not legal is to deceive a U.S. official about it. So if you say, I'm going to visit my auntie in Maryland, and then you give birth while you're there, then you've broken the law. Also, what's not legal is to not pay for the birth. Unfortunately, we sometimes see applicants who go give birth using free medical care and government-sponsored medical care and don't pay it back. That's also illegal.
But they will say Medicaid paid. Are they not entitled to Medicaid?
No. Under U.S. law, if you go to the United States as a foreigner and use Medicaid in that way, you have to pay it back.
But they still give them.
Doctors, there's something called, you probably know about the Hippocratic Oath. Doctors have to swear to help somebody in need. So the reality is, most hospitals, they have to give you service, even if you can't pay. And unfortunately, some people take advantage of that.
Yeah. But you said it is legal to go to America to have a baby. But if somebody comes to the window, a pregnant woman, and tell you, I'm going to America just to have a child, would you give them? Because the reason why a lot of people conceal the pregnancy is because they're always denied once the consular knows that they're pregnant.
It depends on the ties. If the person says, I'm pregnant, I'm going to have the baby, then it'll be up to the ties. Do they have enough financial and social ties to come back? And in cases like that, we would also ask to see the ability to pay for that birth. We would ask to see evidence that you have the
How you
finances
can pay.
to pay for that in specific, yes.
Okay. And when you come back, you have your American baby. Most of the time, women don't want to register their kids because they think if you register your child, next time you're applying for a